Hello everybody and welcome back to another video, and what a joke the Senators are in this league. I mean, just from top to bottom, just everybody who played in this game tonight was an absolute joke. I mean, like not to mention, like going after people and doing dumb shit, and Nick Cousins just like slashing Demidov in the hand for no reason at all, who is potentially injured because of it. He played on the power play right after it happened, but went back to the locker room, I think, right after his shift on the power play. I would assume just precautionary, especially since he played in the power play immediately after that. But either way, it's just a gutless thing to do in a preseason game. It's just like there's absolutely no benefit to that. It's just pure just headhunting star players because they're better than you. Like just unbelievable. I mean, and not only that, but like every fight they had tonight, with the exception of like the fight against Carrier, who's not exactly a known fighter, pretty much every fight they had, they lost. Like both Jackeye brothers just destroyed them every chance they got, just absolutely ragdolled every Senators player that even went near them. And then Nick Cousins waits until after both of them are ejected to pull the shit that he pulled. Like, just an absolute joke. I mean, I hope that next game on Saturday that we play none of our star players, because I don't want anybody, getting in contact with any of the goons on that team. And and they're not even good goons. Like they lose all their fights. They're just going after the guys who don't fight. I mean, like at the end of that game, somebody, I don't even know who it was, but somebody like just like went after Kirby Doc for no reason. Doc did absolutely nothing. He just like grabbed him and started throwing punches at him for no reason. Just like, anyway, getting off track, but just a joke. I mean, like, this is just like the reason why I think the preseason is just not worthwhile. Like, I don't know why we have this many preseason games before a regular season when stuff like this happens all the time. And it's always Montreal players who are getting injured as a result of this. Like, nobody else is getting injured. So at least in the teams that we play. But yeah, I digress. I mean, the Canadiens win 5-0. Jakub Dobeš gets a shutout in his first full 60 minutes in net in the preseason this season. So that was good to see. He didn't have a ton of action. I think the Sens only had 15 shots the whole game, but it was good to see Dobeš be solid throughout. And I mean, getting a shutout, that's pretty awesome for a guy who's fighting for a backup spot right now. So I think that was a good game for him. Demidov, obviously, until he got hacked and left the game, he was all over the place. Just like every goal, pretty much in the first like period and a half was all Demidov making plays, either like picking pucks up and like keeping the puck in the zone, making the pass over to line A. We'll start there. There's Oliver Kapanen got that first one. It was a couple passes that were made, but Demidov kind of started that play in the offensive zone, made some moves, and then we had some good puck movement all around, and Kapanen was able to finish in front. So that was a good way to start the game. Pretty early on, I think less than 2 minutes into the game there, they got that goal. And then on the power play, Demidov just had way too much time and space. He could have fucking set up a picnic on that side of the rink there. He would have had all day to make that setup happen, and he was able to find line A not too long after. He gets the 2-0 win. I mean, anytime Demidov and line A are out there, it seems like a goal is coming. It's just like whether or not it's gonna get saved by the goaltender, but not this time. He was able to find the lane, and whenever line A shoots, it's just that puck is just going in. That's how it feels. I mean, like 5v5 and all that stuff, it still doesn't really feel like line A is super quick or really doing much at all, which is unfortunate. But on the power play, he's got undeniable skill, so you can't really fault him too much there. So yeah, but he gets the second goal, and then Carrier had an absolute snipe. I mean, it looked like it was a line A shot, but it was Carrier just kind of walking down the left wall and just sniped one right corner. So that was pretty cool to see, especially since Carrier is a Quebec City native. It was cool in Quebec City for him to get that goal. So that was pretty cool, and a really nice shot too. And then speaking of Quebec City, I was actually like, I mean, forgive me for my ignorance. I've never been, obviously, but I was impressed by how like high quality the arena was in Quebec City. I didn't know how high quality it was. I know that I'm pretty sure they built it with the intention of having a like the Nordiques or somebody play there, but it was a pretty impressive. It looked like a NHL arena. I mean, and it was filled with Canadiens fans tonight, so can't really complain too much about that. But I just wanted to mention that quickly. But then yeah, after it got to 3-0 Montreal into the third period, it just became all end of the second period into the third period, it just became all fights and Ottawa trying to get under our skin, which clearly, you know, they only had so much bite to all their bark. So I think we got the better of them until Jack and the Jack brothers left the game. But either way, it was just they got chippy, but surprise, surprise, it's a Montreal Ottawa game. It seems like whether we want it or not, it's going to be the rivalry of the future for the Canadiens and the Senators. It looks like that's where that's where things are trending. So I mean, we got the better of them today. So we'll definitely take that and run with it. So yeah, I wanted to note like Demidov, as I had mentioned, he was just all over the place. I think later on in the third period, he made a nice move and made a guy kind of trip him with his skate, kind of drew another penalty. And then immediately after that, like 3 seconds in, Lane Hutson just snipes one. He just walked in from the top of the circle, from the blue line in the top of the circle, and just sniped one very similar to the goal he scored against the Leafs the other day. And I like if Lane Hutson can get shots like that to go in the regular season, like the league needs to watch out for Lane Hutson because he didn't have much of a shot in his rookie year. He was more of a passing guy, which as a defenseman, like you can't really complain too much about a defenseman getting a bunch of assists. But if he can get that shot to start going in regular season games, like he is going to be a monster. I'm predicting it now. Like just the way he plays is just, we've seen it before. Like him and Demidov have kind of a similar trait of just being able to take over games and stuff like that. So if he's able to get that shot working and score in the regular season, it's going to be over for a lot of teams. So that's definitely something to look at and look forward to. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I mean, chippiness, continued throughout that. Demidov, got chopped pretty much right after that Lane Hudson goal. And then Kirby Doc, like, what was that? I mean, Gallagher gave him a sauce pass that was just gonna go like straight past him. It was way too high. It wasn't gonna land anywhere near the slot, but Doc just kind of whacked it out of the air, top shelf, like it was nothing. And that's an impressive goal. That one made me laugh out loud when I saw how impressive that was from Kirby Doc. So that's really good to see. It's really good to see Doc getting on the score sheet, especially since he's coming back from injury. We wanted to see him perform well. So that was super good to see him get on the score sheet, and obviously not a bad goal at all. I mean, the hand eye there. There's not a whole lot of players, in the league who can pull off stuff like that. So it was cool to see him be able to score that one. And then a couple other things I noted, kind of as the clock winded down there. Sanderson kind of had the puck. Like later after that Doc goal, he kind of just walked right in from like the left side on Dobesh. It was point blank, and Dobesh was able to kind of shake that one aside. So that was a pretty impressive save, maybe his best of the night. There weren't that many shots on net for him, but that was an impressive one. I think Dobesh overall just showed that he was a really competent, capable goalie in net for us. So that was really good. And then after that, Zachary Bolduc, he was able to kind of get a nice back check. The Senators were kind of in one of the Senators player was about to take a shot on net, and Bolduc was able to get a stick lift in, break that up, and then immediately after that is when, Kirby Dach, gets the puck deep, and then for whatever reason, the Senators just had enough of our guys, just decided they were going to start just jumping guys because the Jackeye brothers aren't there to do anything about it because, I guess, they can't handle it when, there's actual reinforcements out there. So I don't know what that was, but, Doc just kind of curled up, protected himself, and waited for it to be over. And, you may as well, especially with his injury history. I don't want him getting, any adverse effects there. So, yeah, but again, the moral of the story is just the Ottawa Senators are just a joke. That's what I got out of that. But yeah, that was pretty much the whole game, is just Ottawa being butthurt the whole time about, getting rolled, while they're technically home, even though pretty much everybody in Quebec City was cheering for the Canadiens. They were Olé chants for the entire third period. So yeah, it was just, a classic Habs, classic Habs Sens game. So what are you going to do? But yeah, and great game for the Canadiens overall. I thought, physicality wise, we brought our game. Even I think Jake Evans even pretty much got into a fight. He didn't really throw too many punches, I don't think, but he was, was in the mix, and everybody's getting a taste of it. So I thought the guys really stood up for each other well, and that was good. And guys were scoring, Lane scoring, Demidov just completely took over the game. As I guess he's only played a handful of games in the league, but we've almost come to expect that from him at this point. So it was good to see those guys play well. I thought pretty much from top to bottom, pretty much everybody had a great game. Yeah, I was continued. I guess Emil Enstrom just continues to be my favorite kind of outside of the NHL player, because every time he's out there, he just he's not super spectacular in terms of doing crazy plays, scoring goals, that kind of stuff, but just every time he's out there, I confuse him with an actual seasoned NHL player. He just looks very confident out there, and I'm gonna keep tooting his horn until he either gets sent down or he makes the team. So I mean, I don't think he's gonna make the team. We have too many solid defensemen on this team for him to make it at this point. But I'll definitely be paying attention to him in Laval for this upcoming season, because I think he's definitely a guy to be looking for in the future. I also want to take a second to recognize Brendan Gallagher. He had 3 assists tonight, which, is definitely not something you expect from, our most veteran guy, who's probably going to be sitting on our 4th line for this season. But, Brendan Gallagher is definitely going to be a guy that we're going to need, for some depth minutes. He's, in a lot of ways the backbone of the Montreal Canadiens. He's been around for, a long time. So he's definitely somebody we're going to need, in the clutch when other guys aren't getting some scoring. We look to Brendan Gallagher for some depth scoring. So it's good to see him get on the score sheet as well. And I'm a personal big fan of Brendan Gallagher, just because of how long he's been around. He's been with the Canadiens pretty much as long as I've been a fan of them. So it's cool to see him have some offensive success every once in a while. And then the last obvious note, Demidov, hopefully he's all right. I mean, I think a slash to the hand can definitely be, an injury that'll see him sidelined for a bit. I don't think that's the case. I would imagine that if Demidov got slashed, came back to the bench, and he actually felt something was broken or something wasn't right, he would probably know that right away, as well as the training staff would probably know that right away. They'd be able to take a look at him. He went right back out there for the power play. He was able to, stick handle. He looked pretty good stick handling. He almost scored a goal on a one-timer. He just whistled it straight wide of the net. But, he looked all right when he was on the power play, and, it was definitely good to see him out there right away. My guess is that they took him out as a precautionary thing, kind of the similar thing to what happened to Dobson in the previous game against the Leafs. That would be my guess, but only time will tell. Obviously, I think if there's anything serious going on with Demidov, we'll probably know within the next day or so. I would guess we won't see him in the next preseason game on Saturday. But yeah, I think that's definitely for the best considering how this one went. And, I'm assuming that Brady Tkachuk is going to be stepping on the ice on Saturday to face us. And, I'm sure he's not thrilled by by how the fights went, the ratio of wins to losses for the Senators in terms of their fights. So, yeah, all I can say about Saturday's game is strap in, and hopefully, the Canadiens are not playing anybody who is very injury prone, aka Kirby Doc or maybe even Dobson. I mean, if I were in charge of the lineups, I might not even play like Suzuki, Caulfield, Slavkovsky. I just want to, get through the preseason with what we have now because it's just ridiculous, and especially with like the Senators, if they're gonna come out and play like that again, be just like cheap and shitty, like then what do we even like? What is even the point of preseason if guys are just gonna like try to injure each other the whole time? Like it's just a joke. But yeah, that's really all I got for today. I think outside of all of that stuff, a solid showing from the guys that we wanted to see a solid showing out of. I think especially with Kapanen scoring a goal today. I didn't see too much out of Owen Beck, but like I think he was all right. I think it's still like going to come down to the wire as far as who's going to be in that final roster spot, or if they're going to end up making multiple roster spots. I think the consensus among Canadiens fans has been that Joe Veleno is kind of like gonna be on the team. I mean, he's been playing really well, and he had another nice performance today, I thought. Not as much of a standout as he had been in the previous two, but I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of hockey going on at times in this game today, so it's understandable. But yeah, it'll be interesting between Kapanen. He's doing really well. Beck is doing well. Veleno has been really impressive. So it'll be down to the wire, I think, to see to who makes it. And I think, as I've talked about in previous videos as well, like I think it'll end up being a cycle because of course the Canadiens can never stay healthy for more than a couple of games. So I'm sure it'll be the cycle of a couple of those guys to see who they like once the regular season actually starts and people get playing. So, but yeah, a good 5-0 win today. We have one more preseason game to go, and then the games count. So I'm excited for that. Hopefully you guys are as well, and you'll follow me through the entirety of the regular season. But yeah, that is all for me today, and I will catch you guys on Saturday.